Good morning, everyone. It is just before 10 o'clock on Victoria Day. So we're here for an all levels yoga class. And our theme today is going to be balance. So we really want to think about where we can find balance in our lives, not just on our yoga mat, but as we leave our mat and continue on throughout our days. Today we'll be talking about balance between strength and flexibility. We'll be doing some balancing poses because that's very important, especially as we age. So just something to think about. I'm just going to wait another minute until it's 10 o'clock and we'll get started. You may want to have a by for the end of class. We'll do a little shavasana. You may want yoga blocks or books or something to bring the floor closer to you. And you may want a yoga strap. If you don't have a yoga strap, you can use the tie from a robe or a belt long. I really like to use the straps to get into hamstrings. I find we can really stretch our hamstrings safer and better when we have the strap as a prop. So just something, if you want to gather it, have it close by your mat. So it is 10 o'clock right now. We are going to get started. We're going to start standing in mountain pose on our mat right now. And I'm just going to move my mic so you can continue to hear me as I teach. And just finding our feet hip distance apart, stacking our joints. So our hips are in place wherever they are. Our knees are underneath, our ankles are underneath that. And just take a moment here. And maybe we rock on the feet a little bit to ground ourselves. Maybe we sway side to side. Just take a moment and really feel your feet connected to the earth, connected to your mat. And take a moment to really ground yourself. So think of the four corners of your feet. Those would be the pads under your big toe and your little baby toe, and then the two corners of your heel pad, and really press them into the earth. And take a moment to separate toes so you feel grounded and strong. Arches of the feet, we should be able to really lengthen the legs, keeping the knees soft so we never lock our joints. Lift up nice and tall right through the crown of the head like there's a string pulling us up. And then just a gentle release of the shoulders, not forcing. Take a few breaths here, in through nose, out through nose as much as you can. And notice how strong, stable, grounded you feel here. We have both feet on the floor right now. So we have this feeling of homeostasis. We're balanced. We're in a very strong position. We're also taking a moment to find stillness before we start our practice. Stillness is where creativity and solutions to problems are found. Stillness is not doing nothing. Lots happens in the stillness. Let's take a nice big inhale and just let go of anything we're holding on to. Feel the shoulders release a little bit. And then we're going to start to add movement. So moving from stillness to activity. Inhale, we bring the arms up. Palms come together at the top. Slide them down through the midline, through the center. Release at the bottom and repeat. So inhale, we lift up nice and tall, create space. Exhale, we find release. So just getting used to moving with our breath. Starting to just move our bodies. Maybe we've just woken up recently, so we're just gently coming into movement, into activity. When you're ready, you can start to shift the hips back. The knees go back a little bit, making sure we're not pushing the knees forward. So flowing our chair pose from the side looks like this. So we're sending the hips back, making sure those feet are still grounded. So even though we're transferring a little bit of weight to the heels, we want to keep those toes down so that we're stable, we're strong, we're balanced. Starting to check in with our core. So we want to get that sensation of doing up a zipper and a pair of pants to just gently hold the abdominals as we move, especially anytime we tip from the hips. It's going to help protect our back and just stabilize the muscles of our pelvis and our core. Let's finish one more of these completely. Meet down in that chair pose and just take a pause here. Again, let the shoulders just glide down the back. We're nice and long in the neck, all the way down to the tailbone. Take a nice big inhale, and again, just rock our mountain pose again. So you can stay right here in mountain pose nice and strong. Maybe you want to move hands to hips, maybe palms to heart, or hands on your heart, whatever you prefer. So notice how grounded and strong you feel. Homeostasis. Start to pull your heels up. And start to notice you might feel a little wobbly. You might be a little flowy, tippy. So our body now has to shift. We've changed our center of gravity. We've changed that balanced, stable state that we have, and our body has to compensate for that. So that's where our body starts to work on balancing. So the core helps with that stability, that sensation of doing up a zipper. Sometimes finding a spot to stare at slightly ahead of us helps us to focus. It's called our drishti in Sanskrit. Let's just release the heels. Notice how it feels once we connect the heels to the earth again, how solid and grounded we feel. Let's release the arms. Find the top of our mat if we're not already there. And just reset ourselves in this mountain position. Take a moment, reground yourself. Find that balance between both feet, pressing evenly. When you're ready, inhale, sweep up, palms come together. Let's find our chair, palms at heart center. Take a nice big inhale here, and as we exhale, just bring hands to our thighs. Start to lift the hips. So we start to lean over, kind of like we're looking over a cliff. And we start to feel some length in the backs of the legs here. We want the abs lifted, like I said, to protect our back. We have a deep lean from the hips. Maybe hands come to our thighs. Maybe we're ready to just kind of fold here. Maybe we're resting on the thighs. You can also have hands, if you have a chair or something here, you can have them there. We can release the head and neck, just a little shake and a nod. Take a few breaths here. If we feel a lot of pull, especially at the insertion points, you want to bend the knees a little bit more. So we're just warming up those hamstrings. Let's soften the knees. Allow the fingertips to come down. Right leg's going to step way back. We're going to release the knee on top of the foot. We want this front knee safe over top of the heel or slightly behind it. Now our abs are lifted here. We're not pushing the belly out, and we're lowering the hip. So getting a bit of a stretch in that hip flexor here. Shoulders down. Let's just look forward. Take a breath. And then the same leg that's back, right leg probably. Hand comes down, fingertips down, or make a fist. And as we exhale, we're just going to turn towards that bent knee. So we start to come into a twist here. So maybe the hand stays on the knee. This foot is grounded. Big toe is down. Maybe we lift the arm up. Just a breath here. And then we make our way back to center. Curl the back toes. Exhale to downward facing dog. And let's take a moment here. Fingertips strong. We're going to push against the floor. Slide the hips back, softening on the elbows. Knees are soft here. Our first down dog, we're just warming up. So we're being gentle. So just spending some time upside down. Head's just between the arms here. And again, we have that belly lift. We're bringing our ribs and our thighs towards each other. Let's take one more breath here. Inhale through nose. Maybe we exhale through mouth. Let stuff go. Start to make your way down to your knees. We can find puppy dog pose if we're taking care of knees and hips today, so we stay up a little higher on the forearms, or we slide back to our resting pose. And maybe we take the knees wider. We can rock a little bit. Take a few breaths here. You can really feel the breath in the back body in this position, so take some nice, lovely inhales. And exhale, maybe we sink just a little bit. So know you can come here anytime you need to take a break, or downward facing dog, your choice. Let's finish this breath here. Take our arms out as far as they go. Start to shift your weight, come forward. Really close to the body to keep the joints safe. We lower down, forearms come down, find some length in the back, and then we just lift. So just drawing shoulders down and back, coming out of that shoulder girdle and just gazing forward, our Sphinx pose, our first back bend. So anytime we're doing a back bend, we'll see Cobra and upward facing dog today. This is always an option. Let's release Your shoulders, curl those back toes, exhale all the way up to downward facing. Knees are bent. We're gonna pick up that right leg, sweep it through, help it if you need to. You can pick it up, move it around just like I'm doing right now. It's your leg, you can touch it. Release that back knee and find our lunge on this side. So belly's lifted, and then we gently move the hips, so stretching the hip flexors here. Shoulders down, we're gazing forward. So I'd see a lot of people hunched in this position. We want to roll the shoulders back and open up. Then if we're ready, we can add that twist. So hand can be on a block here also as an option. You can make a fist. Exhale, we twist towards that bent knee. Maybe the arm reaches up. Find a breath here. Make your way back to center. Curl the toes, big step forward. You might have to take little steps, that's okay. Finding our forward fold, feet hip distance. Let's slide up, flat back. And then exhale, roll back down again. This time, let's bend the knees lots, bracing. Let's just walk or roll all the way up to our mountain pose and check in. Inhale, let's sweep up, palms come together, finding them at heart center as we lower the hips in our chair. This time, we're gonna exhale, press all the way up. Hands are gonna float to our hips. And we're gonna take that right leg back, step back into a high lunge. So hips are square, back heel is lifted. We wanna ground in the feet. We do that zipper up. And then hands can stay on our hips. Maybe they come to heart center. Maybe we lift them all the way up, creating space. Shoulders soften a little here, even though arms are strong. Bring palms to heart center. With your next exhale, step into our chair from here. Check in with that belly brace. Use your next exhale to stand, float hands to hips. Step back with the left leg this time, finding our high lunge on this side. So we want the feet hip distance apart to give us stability. So you'll notice if you drop that foot directly behind, like that surfer on a board that can't quite get their balance, right? We want to get that nice base so we're balanced. Breathe. And again, wherever arms are, let the shoulders just gently relax, but let the arms be strong. Palms to heart if they're not already there. Exhale, step into our chair. Next exhale, we press up, float hands to hips. We're gonna do that again. Step back with the right leg. Set up that high lunge. Arms can reach up. Breathe here. This time, as an option, let's interlace the fingers, drop them down in front, tuck in the chin and around the back. So think about really separating the shoulder blades, drawing them apart, stretching a little bit of the backs of the shoulders, getting a little bit into those rhomboids. And then we start to lift the arms up. Maybe we open up, so the opposite, in a little bit of an arch. So drawing shoulder blades towards each other as we open up the front of our body. So feet are really grounded here. Good, come up. Palms to heart center. Use your next exhale to step into chair. Pause here, take a breath. Check in with your feet, your base, your foundation. Use your next to rise, find hands on hips. Step back with your left foot. So setting up our lunge on the other side. Finding our foundation. Arms wherever we like, they don't have to be up, especially if we're taking care of shoulders. As an option, we can interlace the hands, draw them in front, tuck in the chin, round the back, separate those shoulder blades, open up the muscles of the back. Keep breathing here. And then we start to lift up, opening up, opposite. So we squeeze the shoulder blades towards each other, open up the front body this time. Pressing through the feet, nice and grounded. Noticing that balance between strength, flexibility here. And if we're looking up, there's an element of balance. Let's come back up nice and tall. Bring palms to heart center. Use our next exhale to step into our chair. This time, press up, swan dive, big fold to our forward fold. Pause here for a breath. Soften knees, hands come down. Let's walk the feet back to our downward facing dog. Take a moment here. So we're starting to feel a little warmer. Maybe we lengthen the backs of the legs a little bit here. Maybe we make it a little stronger. Just remembering to keep our joints a little bit soft. So we're never locking the knees and never locking the elbows here. We should feel, so this is where we feel that balance between strength. We're very strong, pushing, lengthening the back here, lengthening down the backs of the legs. But there's a suppleness to us here, which allows us to stretch. Starting to check in with our hands, fingertips strong, bellies braced, shift forward to our plank. Now you can stay on the toes or come to the knees, elbows in close. Let's lower down. So we did that Sphinx last time. This time we want to find some length. A low cobra, maybe a little higher, maybe all the way up. So if we seem to sink into our shoulders here, just stay a little lower until we get that strength to be able to come out of that shoulder joint. Otherwise, if we're all the way up, elbows are soft and we're rolling those shoulders back. So squeeze your shoulder blades together. Just gazing forward, opening up our heart center. And with our next inhale, let's release to the exhale to downward facing dog. Softening our knees. Let's pick up the right leg, sweep it through to the top of our mat, and drop that left heel down. So that foot's about 45 degrees, and the heels are pretty close to being lined up with each other to start. Brace, lengthen, draw yourself up, and find your warrior one. Now, arms don't have to be up. They can be at heart center. They can be at hips. You're going to notice your hips aren't square here. Check in with your feet. So this is where we want to find that strength, that grounding we did at the beginning of class. So front foot's nice and strong. If we look past the inside of our knee, we should see our big toe. Start to really think about that back leg. Because if it's not strong, we dump everything into this front leg. It gets tired very quickly and we're imbalanced. So check in with that back leg. We're pressing the pinky edge of our toe or of our foot into the ground and squeeze your glute and thigh here. Breathe. Let's inhale, reach a little taller. And then exhale, just turn the shoulders, find warrior two. Take a moment here. Arms are nice and long. Palms can also be tucked into heart center if we're taking care of our shoulders. So we're bringing shoulders over top of hips here. In a warrior two, we typically gaze over the front hand, strong fingers here. But today, let's turn the head to this open space and bring the hands so you clasp the fingers inside each other. And then you have a little bit of a tug of war going on, kind of drawing them against each other, just at our heart center or slightly below. So this is called Ganesha Mudra. And Ganesha is the remover of obstacles. So maybe we take some time today to think of something, an obstacle, something we need to let go of. Ponder it for a moment. Maybe imagine how it affects us and what our life would be like if we let it go. Take a nice big inhale. Think of that thing. And then exhale, release, back out to warrior two. Let's do that 2 more times so we really make sure we let this go. Same thing. Hands clasped, Ganesha Mudra. A little bit of tension. So you're pulling the hands against each other. Right? There's a little fight going on. You got that obstacle there. Think about it. Think about how it's affecting you. And then what your life would be like if you let it go. With your next exhale, release, let it go. 1 more time. Maybe we come up from the top, bring the arms down, pause here. Think about that thing. And then use your exhale, let it go. Take a moment here to reflect. Notice this balance between our legs, strength and stretch. Let's windmill to the top of our mat and step back to downward facing dog. Take a breath or two here. Check in with your hands. We want to be strong where we're connected to the mat. Really start to notice the hands as we shift our weight coming to our plank. You can stay on toes or come to knees, elbows in fairly close, lower down, find some length. So sphinx, small, medium, large cobra, or upward facing dog on the tops of the feet. Same thing, we want the elbows to be soft and we want to come out, so we're rolling those shoulders back, squeezing shoulder blades together. If we can't do that, we just stay a little bit lower, build strength, chip away at it. With our next inhale or release, exhale to downward facing dog. Softening our knees, picking up the left leg this time, dropping that right heel, bracing, lengthening, and lifting up to our warrior one on the other side. So I'm just gonna turn around so you can still see me and I can still see you. Set it up. Find that balance between the two legs. So we're not dumping everything into this leg. It'll get tired very quickly. This is our supporting actor, I call it. It's very important to keep it engaged, to keep that balance between the two legs. Now, if we want to challenge, the legs become wider so we can sink to pull back, we shorten our stance so we don't sink as much and we just pull back a little bit. So listen to your body here, adjust. And you're not stuck where you landed, right? It's not flypaper. I tell people all the time, your feet aren't stuck to it. Make adjustments. It's your mat. Make it your own. Listen to your body. Breathe. Create a little space. And exhale to warrior two. All right, here's a test of your memory. We're going to do that Ganesha Mudra, but the opposite hand on top. So we bring the fingers in together. Give them a little pull. So maybe you're thinking of the same thing that you want to let go of, that you want to release. Maybe it's something else on this side. Take a moment, think about it, how it affects you, what you like, let it go. Take a nice big inhale, really pull between those hands. You'll notice the upper body engaged. And then exhale, let it go. Good, come back again. So starting to really notice the upper body here as we gently pull the hands against each other. You'll notice you can draw the shoulder blades towards each other. The shoulders are activated. You might notice your biceps. Think about that thing. Check in with your feet and then let it go. One more time. Maybe we come from the top again. Breathe. Get that nice brace. Right, we're supporting ourselves. Use your next exhale to let go. Pause here, just check in. Windmill to the top of your mat, find downward facing dog. Take a few breaths here. Notice the length you can start to create. All the way from where your hands touch the floor to the hips where they lift, and then back down your legs. Joints are soft. Just bringing the ribs towards the thighs. And you'll notice you get a little bit of lengthening in the lower back or even the sacrum. Start to check in with the hands. Shift our weight forward, come to our plank. Staying on toes or coming to knees. We lower, find our back bend. So Sphinx, Cobra, or upward facing dog. So if we're all the way up, whether it's our cobra or upward facing dog, we don't want to be rocking into the wrists. We want to place those fingers down so we're nice and strong. We're connected to the earth. We have that support. That allows us to come out of the shoulder girdle and draw those shoulder blades together because we have this tendency to roll the shoulders in. We sit like that a lot, right? So we want to draw them back to stabilize that shoulder joint. This time, let's inhale to release. Exhale to puppy dog or resting pose. And maybe we tuck the hands in, rest the forehead. Maybe we bring them alongside and really tuck in. I find if I bring my hands alongside, I want the knees a little closer. So feel free to play with that. You can also have a block to rest on. Take a moment here to just be. So we just had a very active portion of the moment to find some stillness. Remember, puppy dog is also an option. If we find that's too much for the knees, to come all the way back. Take a few breaths, feel the back expand, the ribs expand to accommodate that beautiful breath. As you continue here, know that you can't calm the storm, so stop trying. What you can do is calm yourself. The storm will pass. Take 1 or 2 more breaths here in this space. If we tuck the arms and start to draw them out, we're going to start to make our way back up to downward facing dog. And just take a few breaths here. Maybe we walk our dog out, so pressing through the heel, maybe a little stretch down the lower part of the leg, maybe through the foot. Sometimes people like to roll up on the toes to stretch out the toes and the bottoms of the feet. So feel free to add an element of play, or you can just hold and breathe, finding that length. 1 more breath here. And then just start to soften the knees. We're just going to walk ourselves up towards our hands, finding our forward fold. And here you can, if you have a block close by, if you want to grab it. I like it. It gives me a little bit of lift, and I can really start to lengthen the back to the legs here. But it allows me to keep my knees soft, so I'm not pulling. I want to get it right in the meat, the middle of that muscle group. Breathe. Check in with your feet, both feet pressing firmly, toes planted, 4 corners of our feet planted, abs lifted. I know, there's a lot going on. Block, let's just put it off to the side, soften the knees, brace, and just walk or roll all the way up to our mountain pose. And just check in here, find a moment of stillness as we're tall. So if we moved away from the top of our mat, let's make sure that's where we are in our space. Inhale, sweep up. Palms come together. Let's find our chair. And maybe in our chair, the arms start to lengthen straight out or alongside ears. What that does is lengthens our upper body, our lever that the core has to hold. So we have to engage the core a little bit more. If it's too much, if we start to feel that in the back, just shorten the lever again. Let's take another breath, maybe 2 here. So if arms are extended, they're strong, but the shoulders are just gently relaxed. And then with our next exhale, let's find our forward fold. Soften the knees, fingertips come down. Let's take the left leg back, drop the heel, lengthen the spine, pull ourselves up to our warrior 1. With our next exhale, just turning the shoulders, finding our warrior 2. So make sure, again, we have that balance between both legs. Arms can be long here, or we can tuck them in if shoulders are feeling like that's what they prefer. Just another breath in this space. And then shifting forward. Let's bring the forearm to our thigh to start. And we can open up this top arm so we can reach past the ear. It can reach up, or it can come to the hip or low back in our side angle pose. So we're finding length down the side body, opening up the ribs. Breathe. So again, we want to make sure, so we're leaning forward. We don't want to dump everything into this front leg. It's going to tire very quickly. So make sure you're checking with that back leg. That's your supporting actor. It's very strong. If you find that knee caving in, squeeze the glute, squeeze that thigh, find your support, get that nice balance in your body. We have that core activated here. Maybe we're reaching past the leg towards the floor, or if we have a block, we can pop it there to bring the floor closer to us. And think about rolling a shoulder back and open. Sometimes it helps to do that if our hand is on our hip. We can really get that openness. Sometimes with the arms there, it kind of falls into the forward motion. So it helps to stabilize that shoulder joint if we shorten the lever there. Good, one more breath here. Brace, press to the feet, draw back up to warrior two. Front palm flips up. Exhale, we go backwards to our reverse warrior. So remember, we're still working the legs here. We use the upper body sometimes to forget about the fact that we're strengthening and lengthening our legs. We have that nice balance, again, strength and flexibility. Opening up, so we reach the ceiling, we reach to the floor. This time we're opening up the body facing the front. And we can stay right here, grounded, tall. Maybe we start to offer that crescent shape, opening up a little bit more. I like to take the back arm and just bring it to my low back or up my back a little bit. Breathe and continue to sink. Find space that you've created. Breathe into it. And then use your next exhale to find warrior two again. Windmill to the top of your mat. Find downward facing dog. Pause there, just a breath, finding that length. Maybe a quick resting pose. And then we start to shift our focus. So we just check in with the hands as we start to shift our weight. We want to make sure they're nice and strong to support our upper body weight, right? How often do we spend time on our hands? Elbows in close from knees or toes. Lower, lengthen, finding our back bend. Just a breath or two here. Good. Now you can inhale, release all the way down. And you can just stay here and use the exhale to flip the feet and draw yourself up. That's not comfortable for everybody, especially if we maybe don't have a strong core or if we have back problems. That's why I teach coming down and lifting up, but the other is also an option. Let's soften the knees. Pick up the left leg, sweep it through, drop the right heel, press down through the feet, lengthen the spine, brace, lift up to warrior one on the other side. Setting it up, checking in, gauging the length between your feet. Maybe we pull back and make it shorter. Maybe we challenge, make it wider. With our exhale, we turn the shoulders, find our warrior two. Just a breath here again as we check in. Check in with that back leg. It's nice and strong as we shift forward. Forearm comes down and we open up. And again, maybe the arm is long. I like the arm long because I can really reach through fingertips and really stretch all the way down the whole side body. Maybe the arm is up. Maybe that's more comfortable for the shoulder joint. And maybe it's even more comfortable for that shoulder joint to have the arm down. So listen to your body in this space, in this moment. It changes. I'd like to say hourly, but it might even be less than that. Maybe we find a block. I like a block here, or the floor, so we can really open up. If we find we start to cave forward in order to reach the floor, we stay back. We don't want to compromise the back of the shoulder joint. Breathe. Check in with those feet. That's our support. Wherever we're touching the floor is what's grounding us. Good. Use your next exhale to draw back up to warrior two. Just a little check in, and then we flip front palm up. Exhale, we tip backwards to our reverse warrior. Reaching, so there's dynamic tension in those arms. Reaching to the ceiling, reaching to the floor. Everything is strong here, yet supple, right? Giving us flexibility and mobility at the same time. Maybe we offer that little opening, that crescent shape. And I like to bring the back arm kind of up my back or to the low back here. Check in with the legs. Keep sinking if you can. Breathe. Good. One more breath here in this space. And then we exhale back to warrior two. Let's windmill to the top of our mat. Find down. Fingertips strong, palms strong, shift forward to our plank. Let's pause here for a moment. So we can stay on the toes or we can come to the knees. Our torso is nice and long. Our knees are not locked if the legs are extended. There's a softness to them so that we're strong, but we're still, again, have that flexibility and mobility. So if our knees are locked here, right, if something happens to us, if you think of like a piece of wood that's really, or an elastic, let's use an elastic that's really tight and taut. If you snap it, it'll break, right? So we want that suppleness to us, which actually makes us stronger. Good, let's tuck those elbows in, lower all the way down. Find our back bend, cobra, upward facing dog, or sphinx. Just a breath or two. And again, let's release, find puppy dog or resting pose. So again, we just had an active phase again. We want to find stillness. Breathe. Feel the back expand. Maybe you rock. Maybe you get a little wavy in the back here. Maybe you tuck the hands or the fists to rest the forehead on. Maybe you rock the forehead. And then take a nice big exhale when you're ready. And just take a moment to be still. Breathe. So we need balance in our lives between activity and stillness. And like I said, stillness is not just doing nothing. It's a passive, active phase. Never assume that loud is strong and quiet is weak. Let's take one more breath here. Start to draw the arms out if we tuck them in. Make our way to downward facing dog. And then just softening the knees, walking our way to our hands, finding our forward fold. Pause there just for a breath, maybe two. And then let's soften the knees, brace. Let's walk or roll all the way up to our mountain pose. And let's, again, take a moment to find stillness. So hands maybe come to hips instead. Maybe we bring them with palms against each other to heart, or we place our hands on our heart. Check in with our feet. And let's pause and just start to notice our breath. So you might be breathing, because we just had an active phase, you're still recovering. So you might be breathing a little bit heavy. That's okay. Notice your inhale, where it goes and the length of it. And then notice your exhale. Same thing, where it comes from and the length of it. And if you can, if you're not too breathy from that active phase, try to match the length of your inhale and the length of your exhale. So an equal ratio breath. Maybe inhale for 3, maybe 4. Exhale, same length, 3 or 4. So just taking a moment here to find some stillness. We are going to move into some balancing poses. So just kind of regrouping and resetting ourselves in this strong, stable state first. As you continue to breathe here, inhaling for 3, 4, 5, whatever that is, start to notice the space. Inhale and the exhale. So the inhale is very active. Our breath, usually the inhale, some people struggle with the inhale. And then usually the exhale is very softening and releasing. But those little blips between the inhale and exhale is where we find stillness. Just taking a moment to notice that pause, however slight, where you can start to lengthen it between the inhale and the exhale. finish another breath or two here. And when you're ready, just place your hands on your hips if they're not already there. So we're going to come into either airplane or warrior three. And I always give the option to not come into those poses and to just stand on one leg and balance. I like to start with my hands on my hips. So you can start with them anywhere. If you feel like you need a little more stability, take the arms out. It just kind of creates a bigger center of gravity, makes us a little more stable. So shift your weight to one foot. Doesn't matter which, because you know we're going to do both sides. Find the four corners of your foot. Separate the toes. So really ground yourself, root yourself down. You can even imagine or sense that you're growing roots into the earth to hold you up. And start to shift your weight to that foot. And maybe we have a light toe touch with the other foot. We're still balancing, right? We've shifted our weights. Remember, we're standing tall in our mountain pose. We don't have that solid, grounded, homeostatic state anymore. We've thrown ourselves into allostasis, where our body has to kind of shift and adjust for that. That's where the core strength comes in. Maybe we just lift the knee and hang out here. If we would like to find airplane, maybe we open the arms. I'm just going to turn so I have space and you can see it. We start to tip and send the leg back. And maybe we don't tip very far. So maybe we even have a light toe touch as we're leaning forward. Maybe we just start to lift the leg a little bit. So we've got the abs lifted here to support us. We're finding that spot to stare at. And then maybe we start to tip a little higher. So warrior three, from here, we extend the arms past the ears. So again, we've lengthened the lever. Our core has to work a little harder in this one. You also have the option to bring the arms behind you to open up the chest, palms facing each other. So your choice. And again, if you need to pull back, you just pull back. Maybe the toe just gently touches here, or maybe we come back to that standing position. Wherever we are, let's just take another breath, maybe two. And then just gently coming back to standing. And take a moment with both feet on the ground to reestablish your base, to reestablish stability and balance. Right? So we were wobbly. When we're on one leg, we're wobbly. Our body is compensating. We're building different muscles to help us compensate for that, the fact that we don't have both feet on the floor. So we're going to shift to the other side. It might feel totally different than side one. It's going to depend on our dominant side and where we have imbalances within us. And just listen to your body and go to the space that feels right for you today. So again, shifting your weight to the other foot, starting maybe with just a light toe touch. Maybe we lift the knee. Arms can open. Again, I'm just going to turn so you can see. If and when we're ready, we start to tip a little bit, send that leg back. And like I said, maybe it's just a little bit of a lift like this, kind of like an airplane just, taking off. Maybe we have a light toe touch, or we can start to lean a little bit more and lift that leg. We can find our warrior three if we like, or today, just for funsies, I like bringing the arms behind me and opening up my chest. So I'm drawing shoulder blades towards each other here. So you do you. Find your belly brace, find your spot to stare at, and find your breath. So we want to make sure we're not holding the breath. We have a tendency to do that when we struggle. And what that does is it just makes all our muscles contract and puts us in a stressed out state. So when we find that nice flowy breath, we relax into it and we become more stable. Good, just one or two more breaths here. And gently come back to that mountain pose and just check in again. Both feet firmly planted. Breathe. Take a moment to be still after we spent that time balancing. Maybe we exhale through the mouth. Finding the top of our mat if we're not there already. For the last time, let's inhale, sweep up, palms come together. Find our chair. We're not hanging out here. Right away as we exhale, we are going to fold. Soften knees. Let's walk back to downward facing dog. Check in with your hands. Start to shift forward to plank. Toes or knees. Let's tuck, lower, lengthen, and opening up. Just a breath or two here in our back bend. Drawing shoulder blades together. Inhale, exhale to puppy dog or resting pose. Just a breath or two there. Good. And then we're going to pick ourselves up. We're going to shift forward and lie on our belly. Now I'm just going to turn so I'm facing the camera to do this. Stretch for our shoulders here. So we just want to take the arms out. Let the legs be wide. Pick one arm. And we're just going to bend the elbow and let the fingertips come onto the floor. And then we're going to bend that same leg as the arm that's bent. And we're gently going to press with the fingertips to roll ourselves and open up this shoulder where it's connected to the front of our body. And you can let the head rest on the floor. Maybe you have a blanket or your block there. It can rest on that. Breathe. So if we find it's really tight or that's very challenging, we just pull back so we don't come over as much. We take the pressure off. Breathe here. One more breath. And gently make your way back to the center. Take a moment to reestablish balance, reestablish your base, and then we set up side two. So the fingertips, we bend that same leg, and we gently rock to the other side. And again, the head can rest on the floor. It can stay a little suspended. We can have it resting on something. Maybe we back off if we find this side really tight. Breathe. Let that breath flow. And gently making our way back to the center. And let's just I'm just going to shift again. Bring hands underneath our shoulders and take a moment here. Maybe we're resting the head. Maybe it's just gently looking forward. So we're going to do one more back bend. Finding some length in the back, I call it that little scooch. And then just lifting up. So drawing shoulder blades towards each other. So you'll notice the muscles of the back engage. Maybe we lift the legs. Maybe we pick the hands up to make sure that we're not resting in the hands, that we're using the muscles of the back to lift us up. So it's good to work our back regularly, especially if we have low back issues. We work our front a lot, right? We work the abdominals a lot. If we forget about the back, and it causes an imbalance. And sometimes that's what causes back pain, because you get this pull in the front of the body and it actually throws things off kilter. Good. Let's just lower everything down. Maybe we stack the hands or the fists and just rest the chin or forehead. We're going to do that one more time with an option. So just take a breath, release, and then set yourself up again. Hands just underneath shoulders. Find that lengthening of the back. It's subtle. I call it a scooch. We lift, draw shoulder blades towards each other. Maybe the legs lift. Maybe we lift the arms and bring them towards each other, palms facing each other. If we're able to, we can interlace the hands and maybe lift them. And maybe they help draw us up a little bit higher. So that's going to depend a lot on our shoulder, elbow, wrist joints, our back. So you do you, listen to your body. That's why I give lots of options and we layer things. Just gazing neutral, so keeping the neck in a neutral position. So it's just a little bit forward of the mat. And then release down. Let's push back to a quick resting pose or puppy dog pose, just a counter pose for that back. Maybe we rock a little bit. Take a big breath. And then pick yourself up And we're just gonna sit. Stretch or two for the hamstring. So this is where, if you do have a strap, you might want to use it. So finding our sits bones, and we're gonna just tuck one leg out of the way. So it can stay straight and just kind of be out of the way. I like to bend it. Maybe you want a little cushioning for it. If we're using a strap, we want to bring it high up in the arch of the foot to protect any nerve endings we have in the foot. And we want this leg to be long, stacking the joints. So hip, knee, ankle, all stacked in a row. We're somewhere between a flex and a point. So we've engaged the leg, the top of the leg a little bit, but our knee is still soft and our heel is on the floor. Inhale, do that zipper up, grow tall, keep that length as we just start to lean forward. Breathe. So we have that gentle flex of this foot. So we gently engage the muscles in the top of the leg, so our quadriceps. We have an equal and opposite reaction, right? So it should then stretch our hamstrings. Breathe. We want to keep the upper body long and lifted. One reason is to protect our back. If we start to really round in it, it puts pressure on our back. We want to keep that core engaged to keep it strong. But I find if we fall into it, we kind of lose the stretch where it's meant to be in our hamstrings. So if we keep that lengthening, we can keep folding safely and find that stretch in the back of that leg. And maybe hands walk down our strap. Maybe they're just resting on our leg. If we're able to find our foot, feel free to touch it. There's nothing special about finding your foot, especially if to do it, you have to hunch and round the back. Be safer, stronger, and find the stretch in the true place by pulling back and lengthening. Just another breath, maybe two here if you're enjoying this. And then when you're ready, pull back, pop the foot out of the strap, and we just change sides. So the other leg comes out. So again, we lengthen it, stack the joints, that midway between a full flex and a full point. So kind of like we're wearing a low heel, if you will. So if we're using the strap, it's high up on the arch. We hold both pieces together. Do that zipper up, grow tall, feel your spine lengthen, keep that length as you fold. Breathe into the back of that leg. So we want to make sure that if we are using the strap, we're not holding on for dear life here. So we don't want to be holding and pulling and struggling to stretch ourselves. It's there to basically guide us and to help us stay long and lifted. I find when I use the strap, I keep the upper body more engaged so that I don't just collapse into this pose. Hopefully that makes sense to all of you out there. So for me, it's all about safety. And those of you who know me know I love to share my, we'll call it love of anatomy, I guess. So I give those little tidbits as to why we do things a certain way, either anatomically for safety or just for your benefit. Let's finish this breath. Pull back. If we are using a strap, just put it off to the side. And let's just bring the bottoms of the feet together. Now you can tuck them in. I usually recommend not tucking them in any closer than the actual length of our foot because it's too much pressure on the knees. So we can be there. We can also send them out a little bit if we're taking care of our knees. We don't bend them as much, more of a diamond shape. So either or somewhere in between, same thing like we just did. Do that zipper up, sit up nice and tall. As a reminder, you can have your knees supported too, by the way. And maybe we just hold strong here. Maybe this is enough for us. Just be tall in this space. Press the feet together. Notice where you feel active engagement, and then maybe try to release. So we press the feet, see where you can squeeze, and then release it. So we use that element of balance, right? We activate, and then we relax. And that helps to sometimes stretch. It helps to create space where maybe we didn't have space before. Maybe we lean forward a little bit, and we do the same thing. Think about, to keep tall, think about squeezing your shoulder blades together so we stay open in the front body and those shoulders externally rotate as opposed to hunching. Good. Draw yourself up. Lift up the knees. Hands come under the knees and you're just going to roll yourself down onto your mat. Constructive rest here. Maybe we windshield wipe a little bit. Release the back, release the hips. Come back to stillness if we added movement. And let's take the arms out wide. You can have palms up or palms down, whatever feels more comfortable to you. And let's just gently lift the knees up. Bring them in close. And then let them just come to one side. So we're finding a twist here. And maybe they come to rest on a blanket or a block. Maybe they come all the way down. And then we can look the opposite direction to stretch out our neck. And find your breath here. So this is one of those poses, twists, bends, balancing. We have this tendency to hold our breath. Let that breath flow. Maybe we come back to that equal ratio breath that we did earlier. Maybe we inhale for 3, exhale for 3. Maybe we take a moment to find that pause between the inhale and exhale. Maybe noticing that space we've created in the side body that allows us to breathe into that space, or maybe we normally wouldn't be breathing into. Let's finish our breath here. Turn our head back to center. Gently draw our knees back up. I like to start with one leg and then just let the other one kind of organically follow it. Up to you. I just find it saves my back a little bit of pressure. And then just let them drop to the other side. And again, you can rest. You can even have a block between the knees if that's more comfortable to you. And maybe we turn our head and gaze the other way to stretch the neck. And again, maybe we find that equal ratio breath. Maybe we find the pause in between. Take a moment as we twist to be still. Finishing this breath here. And then gently lifting ourselves back up. Maybe we hug the knees and rock or make some circles. And then find a comfortable position for our final relaxation. Maybe we send the legs out in a traditional final relaxation. I like to take the legs wide and the arms wide so I can really sink and release. Maybe you stay in constructive rest or even let the knees rest against each other to help protect the back if you have any back issues, or any other position that you want to maintain for the next 5-ish minutes. I'm going to sit up just because I'm going to be talking and reading and it's easier to do so while I'm seated. So take a moment again and find your breath, maybe that equal ratio breath again. And with each exhale, find a little release. Sink a little deeper into wherever you're connected to the mat, the earth, your floor. If you're outside, the dirt. And just take a moment to notice if both sides of the body feel the same. Maybe yes, probably no. And just be aware that sometimes we don't have balance, but we can do things to help with that. So if we are lying, and you have one side that's maybe not touching the mat as much, not as connected to the earth, that's the side that you need to stretch more often. And if you don't notice a difference, don't sweat it. Just keep breathing. Keep breathing your equal ratio breath here. And as we talk about balance and stillness, where we can find growth, Sometimes we have to lean into the tough stuff. Growth is not always comfortable. This is why we call them growing pains, not growing pleasures. Very few breakthroughs come without a few breakdowns along the way. Stay the course. Our personal evolution brings so much brilliance to our life, but it can also bring some pain and discomfort with it. Spiritual and emotional shifts do bring us closer to our best selves. They also simultaneously move us away from the space in which we may have been comfortably living before. These transitional periods, while necessary to our growth, often leave us feeling incredibly vulnerable. Be gentle with yourself. Moving from where you were to where you are takes some getting used to. Just take another breath or two here, perhaps that equal ratio breath, or maybe even a longer exhale. And then just come back to your natural breath, whatever that is, without thinking. And you can spend as much time here as you like. Maybe you'll continue to lie here. Maybe put some music on and just find some stillness for a change. Or you can gently make your way up to a seated position. Taking care of ourselves, being mindful, anything we need to take care of in this moment. And if we do come up to a seated position, just finding those sits bones, sitting up nice and tall. So again, we have this balance of strength as we sit up nice and tall, yet suppleness as we kind of sink and release into the posture. Let's take a nice big inhale through nose. Exhale through nose or mouth. Inhale, let's reach up. Let the palms meet above us and draw them down to heart center. You can either leave them there or place your hands on your heart instead. And let's take a moment just to be still, to maybe be creative, to maybe find solutions, or to maybe just savor this moment. Wherever you are in this space, light and love in me shines and greets the light and love in each of you. Namaste. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today on Victoria Day 2021. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope you are safe and well, and hope to see you soon. Take care.